skip it. See it or skip it. See it or skip it.
Welcome to a new See It or Skip It, where we're going to be talking about Regretting You, the new Mckenna Grace film. Plus, we've got what's out on streaming. We have a new Shelby Oaks film from a film critic, no less. And I am so excited to be here and be talking with Kent Dunn and Leo from Leo Loves Movies.
Always good to be back.
Movies with Leo.
Movies with Leo.
We were talking about
Yeah, he
changing
loves
names.
them, but it's with him.
Yeah, it's with me.
Man. Well, let's jump into this. So, Regretting You, this is going to be the big movie that all the families are going to, all the couples are going to.
Okay.
This is a Colleen Hoover adaptation where we're centering on this family that goes through tragedy after tragedy, and then twists on that where like even the grief turns into anger. And I don't want to spoil too much about these families, but Allison Williams plays the mom. Dave Franco is a school teacher in this, which is surprising. Weirdly enough, the Lifetime movie sheen works well with this. I was surprised by that. But let's talk to you, Leo. What do you think about this?
Very emotional movie. I was not expecting it to give me a little tear going down my cheek. But the M. Night Shyamalan, direct this movie, there was twist after twist, and I was just in awe about everything that was going on. But it's definitely a good movie for couples to go out and see this week.
I'm always confused by Colleen Hoover's movies because they're marketed, or the posters look like rom-coms.
Yeah.
But they're not rom-coms whatsoever.
No.
It Ends With You is definitely not, but this one looked a little more bubbly.
What's interesting about this one, rather than It Ends With Us, is it feels like there's two competing main stories. You've got Mckenna Grace's character, what she's going through, and you have her mom's character, what she's going through. The event kind of separates them, and nobody is communicating through the whole thing. Where the happiness does come in is when it's the rom-com thing with Mckenna Grace and Black Phone 2 lead that we were talking about.
Mason Thames, yeah.
Yep. What did you think of that relationship? Do you think it kind of took away from the emotional pull, or was it working?
I think it was working. It also kind of gave it like a coming-of-age type of movie that she was trying to figure out what to do, how to do things, and this guy comes and kind of just, I don't know, lights up the room, kind of. But yeah, it's just definitely, it has like this little roller coaster of emotions, and you kind of feel sad, and you're laughing, and then you're kind of, it was kind of all over the place.
What I understand, you're going to be seeing it again,
Yes.
so it automatically gives you a see it, right?
Yeah, it gives me a C automatically.
What I would say ultimately is that this is a Lifetime Hallmark type of film. So if you don't like those things, I don't necessarily think you're going to like this. But if you're going on a date night, if you want to just go and be in your feelings for a little bit, this actually is a pretty good watch. I don't know if it's going to be for everybody, but I know what is for everybody is this special interview that we have with Mckenna Grace herself. Let's take a look.
You're an exec producer on this, right? I have to know, who is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City fan?
I'm gonna give that over to maybe Allison or our producers like Brunson or Flavia, because that wasn't me, but I saw it in the film and it makes me laugh every time.
It was iconic. The minute I saw this, I know exactly where this is happening.
Yeah.
Your character, Clara, is going through a lot in this movie. Grief, trying to grow up a little bit too quickly, things like that. When it comes to roles like this, when you're dealing with grief, do you find that in real life applications, having gone through something in a scenario can prepare you for that?
It's always a fine line to walk whenever you're playing a character that's dealing with so much grief or so many emotional scenes, because it's like, how long am I going to torture myself with things that have happened in my life, or dredge up old dramas or situations to connect with a character. I listen to a ton of music whenever I prepare for emotional scenes, just because I find that even if it's not something I've gone through, listening to music and lyrics and the emotions that I feel whenever I'm listening to the strings or the piano or something, really puts me in a certain mood or a zone.
There's so much going with you and your mom, and that dynamic is amazing in this. I loved the chemistry with it. But your mom is going through a lot of different other things. If you could write a book for her as your character to be here's how you can get through what's going on, what would you write?
I don't know, because it's such a hard situation, because watching the movie, I'm like, well, you guys should be doing this, or you should be doing that. But whenever you're watching it, neither of them know what's going on in each other's lives. I don't even think that it needs to be a whole book. I think it's just a simple, communicate. Just talk to each other is the only thing that I would say to them, because it's just the biggest miscommunication trope. They don't know what's going on in each other's lives, and one person's thinking one thing, the other's thinking another, and then it all gets tied up in the crosshairs, but eventually they figured it out and found their way.
And if there was one thing that you could give to younger audiences that are going to watch this movie that they could take away from with this, what would you say?
I used to say that everything happens for a reason and to keep that in mind, but I think that that's really hard to keep in mind sometimes, and I think that that's applicable to some things but not others. Even thinking back to situations or things that I put myself in or that I've just been in that I couldn't help, that like make me feel icky or upset, I look back and I'm like, everything that's happened to me, everything that I've been through, it happened, and I might not have been able to see a light at the other end of the tunnel at the time, but I have to be happy with who I am now, so I can't look back and regret what I've done in the past. So I guess what I'm trying to say is just not regretting decisions you've made or being embarrassed of your past, because it's made you who you are today, and that's something to be proud of.
Now, did you know that Mckenna was born in the USA? That's a segue into Springsteen, Deliver Me, from this show.
So like we've seen this recently with musical biopics where they don't show the whole life, and we even have musicians that aren't even passed away yet. They're just like, hey, Springsteen's still around. Let's make a movie about one segment of his life. And in this movie, he's had a lot of success in the late 70s, and all the producers say, make something successful. And it's basically his down period, his blue period, where he's like, I'm going to write this album, Nebraska, that maybe no one will understand except for me.
Yes, it's a very personal story. And Bruce Springsteen was even on set being like a consult for all the things. Jeremy Allen White is our lead, plays Bruce Springsteen singing, playing guitar.
Right.
The man's a triple threat already. And it's very easy for him, I think, to switch from the Bear, being somebody who's defined by his career, desperate to make a name for himself, to a man defined by his career, desperate to make a name for himself.
Less swearing in this one, just more depression.
Yes, and they don't really explore the depression in a way that I was hoping that they would.
By the end of the movie, it becomes the theme. And in that way, it struck a chord with me. How it struck a chord. I just pulled a Patrick. But the movie before that, you're like, we should be understanding of what the artist process is like. And I didn't really sense what the movie was going for until the very end. And so it kind of lost me a bit.
Leo, what do you think of these music biopics? There's a very real issue of them all feeling the same. And in that case,
like an Avengers universe. Like we're going to get the Bob Dylan and then Springsteen one together.
Walk the Line.
Yeah, it's been Elvis, or The Complete Unknown, and it's some of them are hitting hard and some are good. But from what you guys make it sound, I definitely am interested in this type of movie, because I don't really watch, I don't listen to his music, so that's the way to get me into his music. So
right.
If they do that with the movie, then I'm definitely
this one will say, hey, we know you like the hits. Here's the other stuff.
Okay.
Here's the more introspective stuff, and it's beautiful music. It's just not what anyone wanted or knew they wanted at the time.
Right. Well, and the story is centered around his relationship to his father. It's very much a fathers and sons thing. And when I saw that it was Stephen Graham who was playing the father, oh no, adolescence, this isn't going to be good for little Bruce.
Yes.
This is going to be
and he is great in the movie. Stephen Graham is great.
Very emotional. I think that this is going to be for the niche Springsteen audience that loved this particular era of his. And when they try to kind of, explain away why they're not going to anything else, I don't think it really worked for me. I think the performances are incredible, but I don't think the screenplay really worked in this, especially in the end.
There's too many loose ends. There's a girlfriend arc that kind of goes nowhere, that you want a little more explanation, and they just don't really resolve anything for you.
And the girlfriend, I mean, it's great performance by her as well. And really, the meat of it is get into your depression, man. Tell me what happened. Tell me what's going on. It literally cuts away and ends immediately. Like right when he's like, I need help. The movie ends pretty much.
I think that's when we want to know the juicy stuff. We want to know what happened when you went through all these things.
And I wonder if Springsteen being on set and going, we should just cut to 10 minutes later. had a
I
party.
cry a lot.
Yeah, we'll see if people are going out to check this one out. I do think at the end it made me cry
Yes.
a couple times.
Yeah, by the end, it catches on.
Those
finally.
emotional beats, they hit really hard. There's not a lot about anyone else other than Bruce and his dad in this. I do think that there's some great music. They do still play those hits in a roundabout way, but they're not focused on it. More than anything, they're focused on Bruce's internal conflict with how does he make something that feels real to him
Yes.
and genuine and authentic rather than going by the studio, a generic thing we've seen. But
know.
when it's done well, man, you got to check it out.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Jeremy. I like his stuff on The Bear, so see him in something different like that, it's definitely great.
And he's very good.
So this is a see it for you?
It's not on the big screen, but it's a see it eventually.
Okay, so a streaming see it.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, for me, I do think this is going to be one that you can go if you're a big fan, but it might be a wait for streaming.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Great performances overall, though. With that being said, if you're looking for a new film festival to come in, now that Sundance is leaving us, sadly, there's going to be a festival war, and I think the firing shot is happening right now.
Absolutely.
With Film Quest. This was out. There's an article about Variety talking about this festival. There's over 500 titles that are out. This is a week-long festival that's going to be going on all week. It's down in Provo. Definitely check this out. If you look right here, filmquestfest.com. That's where you can get your tickets, see what you're interested in. It's short films, it's feature length, it's music videos. You can have your pick of the litter. Make sure that you check that out. But with that being said, let's jump into Shelby Oaks.
Absolutely. Yes.
So Chris Stuckmann,
Yeah.
one of the most influential YouTube film critics, in his contrast to everyone else, has always been much more about the craft and much more about the joy of filmmaking. In fact, he's gone on record saying he's not going to review bad films or give bad critiques
Right,
now.
because no one tries to make a bad movie, right?
Yep, and I don't think he did here in this case.
Right.
But he did say, like, what's the one complaint we get as critics when we start being critical?
We hate everything.
If you like it so much, why don't you go make a movie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you've got issues, why don't you go do it? And then Chris said bet, and he went and did
Okay,
it.
yeah.
So what do you think of this?
Yeah, so this one, I want to give him credit. I think that's the thing. You want to give someone credit who comes from your same realm. And so you're like, you're doing it, I'm so proud of you. And being a horror movie makes it even better. Because like, I think we're all lovers of the genre. And maybe it's a little bit easier to tell a story without studio involvement. And given that this was a Kickstarter project as well, like I really respect that. I think he kind of fell in love with the horror tropes that he's seen in better movies too much. That said, he's delivered something that I would be proud of.
You know, definitely. If I were to even get a tenth of the way of what he did here, not only that, to get picked up by a major studio, an independent studio, Neon, to get executive producer Mike Flanagan to come in and help with it, to have your budget double, to be able to do exactly what you need for your script, like it's all sixes at that point. Like, but I will say, you're right. There's a lot of things that there's M. Night Shyamalan influences. There's The Ring influences. There's Blair Witch. And you see that throughout. But he's never trying to completely imitate them. It is still his own story. Where I think it got a little bit rough for me is all of the in-between points. How our main character gets to each thing and what she does after. Those points don't seem to work very well.
And I will say, so Mia is the main character, and she's looking for her sister who disappeared on a paranormal hunt, like 12 years before. And she's great. Her reasoning in the script is never great, right? She's going to a haunted asylum, abandoned asylum by herself, right? She's
By the way, that's the Shawshank prison.
I love that. Like, how cool to film there.
Right.
But she's going to a house in the middle of the woods by herself, and there are people that could help her, people that would, but it never quite really makes sense.
Yes, and to go after being completely terrified in one location to a secondary location, John Mulaney taught us, you never go to a secondary location. That's when you're kidnapped. And I don't think I would have necessarily, there had to have been more in between. The beginning of this, like all of the setup was perfect in my opinion, especially when that title sequence comes up. It's shocking. In my opinion, there's a lot I wish we could have had more of, particularly whenever they went into this old YouTube channel that the sister was doing, that it really harkens back to the old days of YouTube, which that's where Chris is strongest here because he's bringing in what he knows, you know? But they don't do a lot with it after the first half of the movie, and I wish they had explored it more.
Yeah, I feel like there are things they pull in at the end of the movie that are more of those horror movie tropes and best moments that probably water it down a little too much. They should have relied more on the first half of the movie and what was going on behind all the paranormal hauntings, if there were any.
Yeah, and what's strange is like we're being critical of it, but I think it's great.
I dug it. Like it's weird.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
definitely different because he combined a lot of different genres in the movie, like found footage, and then he did like a whole cinematic thing. And yeah, there is the wrongs of like, why are you doing this alone? Why are you going alone? Decisions are kind of like, there's a cop that's willing to help you. You have the video, go with him, and then she just does everything alone. But I love how unsettling the vibe is in this movie, how it doesn't do it to the jump scare. It does it to like, there's something there, and we all know there's something there, and you kind of just have to, your mind is playing games with you.
One of my favorite things in horror movies is there's darkness, right? They're looking, and you just look in every part of the darkness for something.
And that's the part that's more scary. When
Absolutely.
there's a scene that they're showing the forest. What is the first thing you're doing? Looking around to see what's in the forest. So that's the thing that I love, that he's not using the usual, boom, there's a jump scare, boom, there's this. He's just using your imagination to kind of just, oh crap, what's behind her? What's going on? And then they show it later, and you're kind of like, I didn't even see that. And that's the time when you want to be at home, rewind back and see, did I miss it? Did I do this?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely great things that he does, but there's also wrong things that he does throughout the movie.
Do you want to watch another Chris Stuckmann movie, though?
Yes.
In my opinion, all it did was sell it for me. And what's fascinating is who gets their own built-in fan base coming with them for their first movie.
Honestly, yeah.
Really cool. But Leo, where would you put this as far as I'm going to buy this for physical media or not?
Definitely on 4K.
Oh, okay.
I want this on 4K with all the special features to try to find out how he made this movie, the process of it. Because that was his main goal. He wanted to show you guys how hard it is to make a movie. And I think that's when he stepped out from giving negative reviews. Because he's like, I know how hard it is to make a movie. I know how all this and stuff. So if there's anything in special features that shows how hard it was for him to make this movie, then I'm so in. Watch it.
I need to hear more about these special features that you're loving, like what your top movies are. That's going to need to be a disc drop pretty soon.
Definitely next week.
But are we all going to give this a see it
Yeah,
then?
to see it. It's October. This is the kind of movie you go see.
It's the perfect one. And it's even the better of the horror movies that we have today to talk about.
Yes.
So definitely go and check out Shelby Oaks. And congrats to Chris Stuckmann. We actually had a chance to talk to this guy.
Mr. Chris Stuckmann, holy cow, I can't believe I'm looking at you right now. This is amazing. I don't want to nerd out too much because we got to get to how great this movie is. But I just have to say, for the past 10 years, when I first started doing any of this, I was looking to you as kind of a guiding star, as like a Roger Ebert. So it's very surreal to be able to talk to you about your own movie. So just thank you for this.
Thank you, Patrick. That's amazing. Thank you, man.
Just so cool. You have this incredible record-breaking Kickstarter campaign. Mike Flanagan is exec producing this movie. You're going to your YouTube roots and you're delivering on something that I don't think the horror genre is really giving us right now. What made you decide that this was the story that you had to tell and that you had to put on a big screen?
I think it's a combination of having this personal experience with having not seen my sister for as long as I did when I was a kid, and kind of wanting to find a way to tell that in a genre story. But also that, I had written a lot of spec scripts before I got this one greenlit, and about 6 or 7, and this one was the one that kept getting attention back then. It kept rising to the top of the pile, and a producer would read it here and there and say, I think there might be something here. And then when you don't have any prior credits and you just are so desperate to get out there and make stuff, you follow the heat. And Shelby was the one that kept getting heat in all the meetings that I would try to get, which was tough to get those meetings. But I think it was because it was a combination of the found footage, the mockumentary, and the traditional narrative. There was a portion of the movie that could be shot very efficiently and not like be that difficult from a budget standpoint. And so I think it was like the combinations of, hey, I know I can get into these locations in Ohio where I live, and they'll make our film look more expensive than it is. Also, there's a portion of this movie we can do very efficiently, but also people like the story, and it was personal to me, and it had like that juice in there. And so I think it was just, you go where the heat is, man.
A question kind of about film criticism and making this transition. When you were making the movie, were there any times where in your head you started noticing that you were being critical in the sense of Chris Stuckmann, the film critic, and how did you try to work through that to make Chris Stuckmann, the director, be able to bring what you were trying to bring?
I think honestly, every filmmaker that I know is immensely critical of their own work. I think more so than anyone, really. I believe that wholeheartedly, that all filmmakers are the harshest critics of themselves, because most of us have imposter syndrome. Most of us tend to second guess ourselves, triple guess ourselves. And so I don't know that I was able to turn it off, because I'm always in that state of mind of feeling like I'm not quite, like, something, we need to work harder on this. We need to like push harder. Could we have an extra day? Could we have an extra hour? Is there a way that we can, And so for me, it's just a balance of having a somewhat healthy amount of self-critical eye, and then also just trying to sit back and be like, making movies is supposed to be fun.
What was it like working with those old cameras and making things feel as authentic as possible?
Thanks, man. I actually have the camcorder behind me right here that we shot the
No
paranormal
kidding.
episodes on. We shot them all on tape, edited them on iMovie. We made sure all of our gear and the software were period accurate. And as far as the presentation of like 2008 YouTube, I had a conversation with a YouTube representative about showcasing that, and they were cool with it. And then it became like, okay, we used the Wayback Machine actually on the internet, to like that site that lets you look at old screenshots of old internet, to just make sure that we were presenting the way YouTube looked properly. And I remembered, oh, that's right, you could do video responses. You could actually like reply to videos with a video. Of course, the 5-star rating, instead of a like or dislike. And yeah, you're right. That was a very fun time on YouTube. It felt like a lot of folks were just figuring out their passions and just sharing stuff without really worrying about money, and it really felt like an inviting and warm time in YouTube's history.
Again, this was incredible, and I hope that everybody, and I hope this is the new Shyamalan twist, but for Chris Stuckmann, everyone gets Stuckmanized after watching this. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it, man.
Now out on streaming is Netflix's House of Dynamite. We talked a little bit about this a couple weeks back, but it is now officially out on streaming. Kent, you had a chance to watch this. What did you think?
So this is Catherine Bigelow's new movie, and anytime there's a Catherine Bigelow movie, I am all in. This one is her version, I would say, of like real life 24. Remember the intensity of 24 and the countdown clock and everything that we saw there? This is that with great actors, and all taking place within a 20-minute time span. And to give a little bit more explanation, a nuke is possibly going to drop.
A nuke's in the air. No one knows who launched it, and now they have to figure out, do their safeguards even work? The president's not near us. Is he going to be on a Zoom call? Yeah. It's Idris Elba, too.
Yes.
And the screen is like pitch black. It's just like a random Zoom window.
So it's these different branches of government or protective services that you're going, how are they going to deal with this? And the ensemble cast is great.
Yes, Jared Harris.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yep.
Jason Clarke. Idris Elba, as you said. Greta Lee's in there for a tiny, tiny little bit, and I love her. But yeah, so I will say, like, the first 45 minutes of this movie, I was gripped. And then they kind of showed the same plot line, and I don't know if they did it as effectively as the first little bit of the movie. Like, because by the end, I'm like, oh, okay, do we actually get to see what happens here?
I'm happy they didn't show it, though.
Right.
Because this ending, and this is what most of the critics are getting hung up on, very controversial. Some people think it was way too abrupt, kind of just like, a free way to get out of telling the ending of the story. I think it was very poignant in that we don't really know what happened. We can only assume what it is, but I do think it's up to everyone's interpretation, and there is an answer for each person.
What's funny is this is a movie where it's not about the bomb, right? It's about how characters react. What are emotions in a crisis situation like this? And I will say, like, from the get-go, this movie grabs you and pulls you in. And Catherine Bigelow does that so well. It was very stressful.
Yes, white knuckling the seat the entire time. And not only that, like every time Catherine Bigelow presents a new film, it's always something where she's showing a process, but she's showing it in such a dynamic and very suspenseful way, like whether it be The Hurt Locker or Zero Dark 30.
Yeah.
They're always jumping in. Are you a fan of these movies?
Yeah, definitely Zero Dark 30 and Hurt Locker. They're all great movies that just, like you said, they just jump in right into the plot and everything like that. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it. Just by you guys saying the nuke, in the air? Is it in the air the whole time during the movie?
Oh, you'll see. You'll see.
I don't want to spoil it,
Yeah.
but it is something that I think people can check out on Netflix right now and have a pretty anxiety-filled time. And if that's your
Honestly,
bag, it might work.
Based on the Netflix scale of watchability, it's pretty high.
Okay.
Yep, there's a little bit of an unbelievability to it
Yes.
because it seems like they're pretty competent in the movie. But I don't know. It's up to each viewer to decide what they think with it. But it's a see it for me.
It's it for me as well.
I'll definitely check it out.
And also out on Apple TV, minus the plus. Don't bring that plus in there.
Where'd it go?
We got Stiller and Mira, Nothing is Lost. Now, Ben Stiller directed a documentary about his parents, talking about them being a duo act, what they were like on the Ed Sullivan Show, what they were like at the house, and what the differences is, and how he feels as kind of a Nepo baby as well,
Yeah.
but also being a father to his kids, and how does he balance that, and did he do it differently? I think it's a really fascinating documentary. I don't know if it should be a documentary, though.
Yeah. What do you think? Should be much shorter, like a.
It feels like well, now that I know that he was making a soda company at the same time, I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest.
You know, it's interesting. I felt naive to Stiller and Mira back in the day. I didn't know anything about them. I knew Jerry Stiller from Seinfeld. I think maybe in our generation that's kind of what you know it from. And so it educated me on their comedic value. But then it did. I think the good thing it did is it moved on to how Ben Stiller became like an absentee father. And then I was like, okay, there's like a reason for this to exist and for him to go back through his mother and father's stuff. By the end, I was like, that was cute. Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it.
Because it's all surrounded, the Stiller family is involved in everything. So it's really personal conversations that Ben is having with his sister, with his kids, and that's where you start to learn more about how the dynamics in the house were. This is a couple that were both in Hollywood, and that is a weird thing, to both be trying to get to that point. And if one's better at one thing than the other, how do you justify that when you have kids at home? Like, how do you justify that? It's very interesting, but I don't know if it's one that I am ever going to think about after this weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of a charming watch, if anything else, but you don't need to watch it, I'll say that.
Yep, so, I mean, for us, it's probably a wait for it, but check out the soda. It might be good. Finally, out on Hulu, Disney, is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. This is a reimagining of the 1992 film, which I did not know existed.
Oh, really? It's good.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 90s thriller good.
Okay.
Because that's a certain level of genre that I really love.
Yep. So this is about a girl kind of infiltrating her way into this family. She's wanting to be the babysitter. Everybody seems to like her, but she's got a lot of issues, it seems, and a lot of stuff that are coming to the surface as you slowly reveal maybe she knows exactly who this family is and is there for a different reason.
Yeah, in the original, basically the wife of the home, the mother of the home, she doesn't really know what's going on for a while because it's a little more sly, everything's more subtle. In this one, Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays the wife and mother, and she is suspicious almost from the get-go because Micah Monroe doesn't really hide how crazy she is.
Not really. She's telling stories about eating tuna from a can to the daughter, and the daughter is like imprinted that in her memory, in her psyche. I don't know.
It's a cat and mouse game where the whole time you're like, this is obvious. Just talk to each other and you'll figure out that this is not good.
Yeah. Clearly, she should not be here, but the mom is so tired, she's like, let her help, I guess. This might be under the, it's trying to be so scary, it's turning into being funny. Yeah. And it ended up being more funny to me than scary, and not in a way they were hoping to have.
Yeah, like even when, because it feels like a TV PG show. Like with a very little soundtrack, very little like build up at all. And then by the end it gets so bloody that you're like, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah, I'm more interested on the older one.
Yeah, the older one is definitely worth watching.
No, it's too bad. Like, if you do love Micah Monroe, go check out Longlegs. Go check out It Follows. I feel bad that she's in this one, and it didn't really serve her the way it should have, the story.
Yeah, honestly.
But that being said, it's on Disney+, so if you do have a chance and want to check it out, for me, it's probably a skip it because, I don't know, sometimes the humor in a horror movie can only go so far when it doesn't have anything else.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess that about does it. But Leo, you are doing all of these reels and stuff, and the thing that we were talking about just before is that you are giving the alphabet of, give us your favorite horror movie with whatever letter that you have.
Yeah.
What is the letter for today? I want to try to play this.
The letter for today is T. What's
T.
your favorite horror movie that starts with the letter T?
Okay.
Kent?
Well, there's a right answer, and I want Patrick to give it.
Well, the right answer is absolutely the thing.
Yeah, it's the thing.
Oh, okay.
But the second best answer is trick or treat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love trick or treat.
Mine's Tremors.
Okay,
Tremors is
obviously.
a good- oh yeah, because of all the yeah.
Let me know in the comments which one's yours.
Yep, make sure that you follow him. Let's go ahead and wrap that here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo, tell everybody where you're at and where they can find you.
You guys can find me anywhere on TikTok, on Instagram, Movies with Leo.
And Ken.
The Big and Sell podcast and ShowtimeShowdown.com.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you everybody so much for joining us. Stay tuned for next week because the hits keep coming. The interviews are only just getting bigger and bigger, and we have a sneak peek of what we're going to be looking at next week. Take care.
I know you too, Teddy.
It's fine. It's cool.